Welcome to another episode of Inside the Shield with Pro Football Moms. I'm your host, Alicia Jarrett. I'm sitting here with my best buddy and co-host, Mr. Rob Vaca. Today, we have an amazing mother, Miss Wendy Wallace. Come on in. Rob, tell us about her son.
Wendy, it's good to see you. Wendy's the mom of Levi Wallace, and what a story Levi has. I cannot wait to jump in and hear from Wendy how he got from Tucson, Arizona to the NFL.
Absolutely. Hey, Wendy.
Hello, everybody.
How are you? Thanks for being here.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, you definitely have an interesting story with your son, Levi, and we can't wait to share it. But first, give us a little background about Levi. He of course went to high school. Did he play football in high school?
He did. Levi is the oldest of two boys. I have two boys. Lawrence is my younger son, and they were both born in Tucson, Arizona. And Levi has been playing football since age 5, going through the ranks of the Pop Warner. And then a little bit more organized as he got older, and certainly played high school football as well, too. However, he was not offered any scholarships when he graduated. And so that was kind of disappointing to him, but he didn't let that stop him. And so he kind of forged his journey into what it is now by just having determination and desire and a lot of support behind the scenes.
Wow.
So Wendy, reading about Levi and his journey, I'm in a position now with a son who's a junior in high school playing football, and a recruiting situation that's even crazier with the transfer portal and NIL money and an extra year for COVID and complete chaos and confusion. But I bring that up because to bet on yourself, to come from Tucson, Arizona, to fight through the disappointment that I know he must have had not getting the offers that he wanted and he felt he deserved. And clearly now in hindsight, he did deserve. He walks on at perennial powerhouse Alabama, a kid from Arizona. How did he get to the point where he said, you know what, Mom? I'm betting on myself. I'm getting on a plane and I'm going to go play for Nick Saban and I'm going to prove that I belong. How did that happen? What was that like?
So I'll take you back a few years prior to that. Levi's father, who is deceased now, he deceased 8 years ago, but he was born in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And, when he was growing up, he was able to work the stadium selling sodas and things of that nature. So it was in his blood. Levi's dad, it was in his blood. And so he always had a desire, always loved Alabama football. Everything was Alabama. And so naturally that just passed along to the boys as they were younger. We would go back on trips and everything was roll tide back when we went back there. And so it was just naturally ingrained in something in terms of a desire, right? It was always in the forefront. But anyway, fast forward as well, Levi's dad, as well as myself, were military. And so Levi and his brother came from a very disciplined household. I mean, not so much strict, but very disciplined in the forms of, being respectful and always being encouraged to say, you know what, I can do it. And our motto was, we do what we have to do so we can do what we want to do. And even to this day, it is, what is the plan? What is the plan? If you don't have a plan, you don't have a vision, you're not knowing where you're going to go. Mm-hmm. So it was always a matter of not if I am going to go to school, but which college I'm going to be attending type of mentality. And so because he did not receive a scholarship, it was a natural fit that, Dad encouraged Levi along the way. During this time, Dad had gotten sick. He had ALS, as a matter of fact. But he encouraged Levi. He said, you know what, you're just as good as those other guys. Why don't you see how great you compare to the 4 and 5 stars at Alabama? And at the time, Levi had no interest. He actually had joined the intramural program at Alabama. And so as that progressed, Levi, I guess, gained confidence in himself to one day say, you know what, I'm going to actually try out for the team. And that's kind of how the story kind of progressed along in terms of getting to the start and where he actually got to and where he finished with Alabama. It was a lot of support, encouragement. The mindset was, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you're never going to know unless you try type of mentality. So that's kind of the background of where Levi came from in terms of being overlooked and not having the offers, but always knowing that there's something inside of me saying that, you know what, why not me? Why not me? And so his dad encouraged him to try out, and he did, and was able to walk on. And so Dad did not get to see him play. I think the first spring game, the night of the spring game, is when Dad actually passed. And so, but Levi had his spirit moving forward to know that, listen, in this whole process of life, I can do things. I have the encouragement, I have the support, I have the abilities, the skills, and I may be just as good as those other people. Why not me?
Wow.
That is a fascinating, emotional, and very fact-based and nugget-based, wisdom-based story. I think there's so much. I hope people watching take away from that what I just took away from that. It is remarkable that the discipline, the faith, the plan, the push from Dad and from you, and the emotional toll that must have taken on Levi, ultimately to help propel him forward, is just remarkable.
Absolutely.
So one thing, he goes to Alabama. He did not go to Alabama to play football. He went to Alabama and he played intramurals. He wasn't even playing on the football team. He just woke up and said, you know what? I'm here. I might as well try out.
Absolutely. He just had, Dad said, you know what, why don't you see if you are as good as those guys who received those scholarships, who were the 4 and 5 stars? And it was just as simple as that in terms of the encouragement. We knew what he had put into his high school football. We knew that he was pretty good. However, where we were from in Tucson, there was just not a lot of people coming in terms of looking at those kids who are in that particular area. And again, and I stress this a lot, military, I think the mindset is just a little bit different than sometimes, other people in terms of determination and I guess you can, and come on, let's go for it. And not to feel sorry for yourself, even in the midst of, mishaps and things of that nature. So it was just a matter of saying, listen, you can do this. Come on, we've got your back. We support you. You're smart academically. You are up there, very in the gifted program all throughout his entire life. Very smart, very knowledgeable, and that type of thing. And I knew he had just a really good gifting of just knowing the game of football, right? In terms of, we tell people, there's some guys who play football, but Levi is a student of the game. He's very intellectually smart as relates to that. So I thought, well, what you may be lacking in some of those areas, you certainly make up for in other areas as well too. So come on, let's give it a shot.
And Wendy, he took that same determination when he went and tried out for the league. At what point did you know, or do you think that he knew that, you know what, I can do this? I can play on the National Football League level. At what point did you all feel that or figure that out?
Yeah, I think he always knew that he could. It was a quiet, and anybody who knows Levi knows that he is not a boastful kid at all. It's just something that just wasn't allowed. I mean, we're just not those folks, right? So, but internally, you have to be confident within yourself. And I think he's always had that confidence, right? I said, son, you know the game, you've been skilled at it for all these years. You've come from this, you've got this pedigree of being at Alabama, coached by Nick Saban himself, and I mean, all these other factors, right? So I said, you know what, just don't block out all of that other noise going in terms of, you know, you're going to be competing against these guys who are already in the league and, you know, who have this resume that you don't have. However, what you do have is determination, right? And you have the underdog, you know, sometimes being an underdog and people look at that as a negative, but he's always looked at that as a positive, you know, and just in his ability to say, you know what, I'm going to fight a little bit harder and I'm going to fight a little bit longer and do what I have to do so that I can do what I want to do. I go back to the old saying, and again, we say that all the time in our house, you know. So yeah, I think he's always known, but not overconfident about it, and certainly not verbally expressive about it. But it was a quiet thing within the home.
I absolutely love that, and can 100% relate to the underdog mentality. My son was not supposed to be at Clemson and graduate and have a successful career, athletic career, as well as academic career at Clemson. He definitely was not supposed to be in the league for 8 years and still healthy and going strong and doing the things that he has done. I can definitely relate to that. And it is something about, my son says, you know, I don't try to prove the people that didn't believe in me wrong. I try to prove the people that believed in me right. And I mean, your story, I am just literally sitting here so full. I mean, like, I share your pride. I share, like, I don't even know Levi. We play Pittsburgh this weekend. I got to find him and hug him. I am just so humbled by his story. Thanks for sharing that. Because I'm getting emotional right now.
Yeah, I'm emotional too. I'm not
right
a mom,
now.
but I'm a son, and I know the bond that moms have. It is an amazing story. So tell us a little bit about Levi off the field. We're getting a sense for his, let's call him the quiet storm coming onto the field. Tell us about him off the field. What does he like to do? Does he have an idea of what he wants to do after football? Is it too soon? Tell us about that.
So I actually like Levi as a person. Of course, you know, you love your children, but I like him as a person. And I say that because he just has a genuine heart for servitude, right? And so he's always been like that, even as a young child, in terms of helping people and making sure that people were okay. And so that part of him is probably the greatest attribute that I really love in addition to his faith. So with that said, that has continued, right? And so one of the things he's been able to do, the last year actually, we formed his foundation, the Levi Wallace Foundation, leviwallace.org. And so prior to the foundation, Levi was always in the community. He's always maintained that he wanted to bring the city of Tucson, right, in the spotlight, because not a lot of attention gets, you know, put back on the city of Tucson. And he knows the struggle that he's had to go through, right, and the fight that he's had to have in order to get where he has been, right? And so he said there are a lot of kids back there, right, who are kind of in the same situation that he was in. So one of his goals is that, you know, in terms of just shining the spotlight on those kids who, for whatever reason, just fall short in the cracks of, you know, not receiving that attention, not receiving that scholarship, not receiving, you know, financial assistance, the unhoused. That's a big part of his heart, right? And compassion, the unhoused. And so that's a big part of what we do at the foundation as it relates to Levi Wallace. And then those kids who who don't have enough food in terms of, you know, not just during the holidays, but year round, right? So those are some of the causes that he's put a lot of his efforts and resources towards. And that's what I really, love about him, because he was doing this before the establishment of football, and he was doing it in a quiet way, right? And so now that the foundation has been established, we're able to bring more attention and awareness. But with that said, so Levi is, he's a funny person, right? He loves to crack jokes. He loves his friends and he loves his family. And he loves God most of all, right? So I say that I like Levi, and those are some of the reasons why I do like him more so than the football, because we know that this profession, right, it lasts, if you're lucky, a few years, if you stay healthy and if you're able to get a pretty decent contract or whatever. And I've always said to him, it's not about the amount of money. It's, because a lot of folks made a lot of money, right, throughout their careers. But it's about what you do with what you have, right?
Absolutely.
How have you helped somebody today, right? And growing up, and every day we'd say the same thing. What did you do to help somebody today? How did you make somebody's day great, right? So it's not about what you have, it's about what you do with what you have, right? So in this short amount of time that he has, God has given him a platform, right? In terms of and I think that some of that has been exposed, right? But I think I tell them all the time, they're the bigger and greater things, more so, because at the end of the day, when this football thing is over and said and done, right? You're going to have a different platform, and it's going to be so much more amazing. But right now, this is the platform to bring the spotlight on you, to give awareness at this moment, right? So, because there's a bigger cause, a bigger purpose. So that's part of who Levi Wallace is. He's a huge heart and just a very generous guy, but he's so super smart, so super intelligent, right? And I love that about him as well too.
Absolutely. Listen, I've literally fallen in love with your kid. And fallen in love with you, because that foundation came from somewhere. And definitely applaud you, Mom. I'm gonna get back on script here. So Grady, my son, he's an amazing person as well, but he's also a great, fantastic cook. The kid is just like out of this world with his chef skills, right? But every now and then, he'll pick up the phone and say, Mom, I want some of your whatever it is. Is there a favorite food that Levi picks up the phone and call Mom and say, Mama, this is what I want? If so, tell us about that.
So let me tell you, right? So Dad was the cook in our home, right? Dad was the cook. I didn't grocery shop. I didn't cook. I didn't have to do all that stuff. Dad just loved doing all that stuff. With that said, there are 3 things that my boys will tell you, and everybody who knows us, right? 3 things that Mom does well in the kitchen, right? 3 of the favorite foods, right? Number 1 is Mom makes fantastic fried chicken.
Okay.
Number 2, homemade fries.
Oh, I love it.
So
now I'm hurt.
Yeah. Anywhere I happen to be with the guys, right? They always invite their friends over. My mom makes fantastic chicken and fantastic French fries. And the 3rd thing my mom does really well, she makes really good ice water.
I was waiting for the 3rd part. I thought I was going to get a milkshake. After I got the fried chicken and the homemade fries, I thought I was getting a milkshake. But I am thrilled. I'm happy with where we got to. I'm hungry now. My stomach is making noises. There is an art to making homemade French fries. There really is.
There's an art to making homemade fried chicken.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Let's stick on food and shift to 3 amazing football cities. And you're part, and have been part, of 3 of the greatest football towns in the United States: Tuscaloosa, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh. Tell us one thing, either food-wise or otherwise, you love about each of those 3 cities.
So I will tell you what, starting with Tuscaloosa, I've never, ever been to a town where the entire, when I say entire, I mean the entire town is involved in the football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere you go, every store, every place you visit, it is entirely Alabama Roll Tide. I mean, every single, and I was so amazed when I started going there, and I actually went to just basic. It didn't matter where you went, right? But I was just so amazed about how the atmosphere changed entirely over, right? And so, I at the time we were still in Alabama, or we're living in Tucson, and I went back to Tucson, and I had to speak with the athletic director at the time of the University of Arizona. And I said, I need to tell you about this experience. It's an amazing experience, right? This is when I went to Tuscaloosa, this is what I saw. And it was Greg Byrne. He's now the athletic director at the University of Alabama. But at the time, he was the athletic director at University of Arizona. He says, yes,
Oh, wow.
I came from the SEC, Mississippi, so I'm fully aware of it. This is what we're trying to do for Arizona. But it was just so amazing how the entire just transformed. So I will say that about Tuscaloosa. Then moving on to Buffalo, I have to tell you that because everybody's version of their buffalo wings, right? In Buffalo is the best, right? So having been there, and I've had the opportunity to go to so many restaurants because their version of the wings were the best version, right? In terms of that. So I was able to try, I don't know
Gotta
how
sample them
many
all.
different and so, but I was just so amazed at how when they got so much snow that nothing shuts down in Buffalo. I mean, they had those machines just plowing through. And so, it was just like, I was just so amazed how, everything it was so consistent in terms of just everything being open and operational and that type of thing there, no matter how much snow excluding 2 weeks ago, the 6 feet, snow that they got
Right.
2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I was amazed by that as well too. And then Pittsburgh, I am amazed at how the old meets the new. I'm a fan of the history, right? And so as I was traveling through the city, there's a lot of old architect, a lot of old history, right? One of the first cities, right? And in the continent and in the nation, actually. And then there's a lot of new stuff that's being built like right beside it, and how everything just works together, the old and the new. But I was just so amazed by, all the old bridges and all the old churches and all the history that is there, right? In terms of just being in awe. So I appreciated all of those cities for all those different things.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. I've had the opportunity to actually not miss a game, not miss any of my son's games, home or away. And even when we've gone to Pittsburgh and to Buffalo, we have a game day ritual. And that game day ritual, he'll find me wherever I am in the stadium, and we'll do a fist bump, and I'll give him a word depending on the team that we're playing, right? Do you and Levi have a game day ritual? If so, share that with us.
We've had a game day ritual for ever since I can remember with this kid. And so, and I don't know if he wants me to tell you, but so the before the game, the early in the morning before the game, I will always reach out to him, and I always say to him, do you have football on your mind? And he will respond back with his wording. And then I will give him a couple of lines. I'm always saying execution, know your assignment, watch the crossing routes, that type of thing there, right? So we have that conversation. And then I leave it at that. And then after the game, he calls every night after the game, and I always give him a grade. always.
Mhm.
So I'm a fan of the game as well to write
Uh-huh,
for years
uh-huh.
and years and years, right?
Yes,
So I give them
yes.
a grade and we go over, what happened and how many tackles you had and pass breakups and you're out of
Mhm.
alignment over here and that type of thing
I
there,
love
whatever.
it.
But every night after the game we go through and I'll give him his grade. It's always been for years.
I love that, Wendy. So my son will pick and choose which one of these episodes that he watches. I'm going to make sure that he watches this so he knows I'm not the only mother that gives grades. I love this. I love this. So, I'm so intrigued with Levi, even not knowing him, I'm more intrigued with you. But if there's one word that Levi would use to describe you, what would that word be?
He tells me all the time, he says, Mom, you're the smartest person I know.
Mm-hmm.
He tells me all the time. And so he comes
I
to
love
me
that.
often for advice. He says, you're the smartest person that I know.
I
And
love
so
that.
I would have to say that because I think for your son or your child or anybody to say that about you, there has
Especially
to
your
be, I
child.
think, absolutely, that there's something that they know that
Yes, and
maybe not
respect and
everybody is aware
admire.
of.
That's
Mhm, mhm.
amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Even if my kids felt like that, I don't know that they would tell me that.
Don't want to give you
They
that
don't want
the
to give me
hand up.
that. And then likewise, if you had one word to describe him, Wendy, what would that word be?
I'd say generous.
Wow. Wow. Very good.
A generous heart, a generous spirit, just his generosity all the way around.
Very good. Very good. Wow.
Well, wow. As we wrap up, I mean, this was emotional. This was
This
insightful.
was good.
This was a learning experience. There's a lot. Wendy's got the smile of the year. I mean,
Yes, for
this has
sure.
been an
For sure.
unbelievable 30 minutes with you, Wendy.
For sure.
Wendy is a military mom. Discipline is instilled in Levi. She's the smartest person he knows.
Yes.
He's funny. He's a giver. He's
Love
got
it.
an underdog mentality.
I love it.
He walked on. He got to the NFL as a free agent. I mean, I'm going to write a book maybe. Should we write the book on the Wallaces? I mean, this is unbelievable.
Really, truly, this is probably one of the most touching and emotional, pulling episodes that we've done. And we've had some where all of us were crying and going on. This is just so, it's nurturing. This is like a nurturing type.
The time together has been chock full of authenticity.
Yes.
And that's the beauty
Yes.
of it. Your authenticity is obvious. The journey is compelling. It's inspiring. And I just hope we can get a lot of people to see and hear this, because I think this would inspire a lot of moms. I think this would inspire a lot of kids.
For sure.
And nothing but good could come out of this. So,
sure.
Wendy, you're great. Thank you so much for
One
your
more time, give us Levi's the foundation information.
So I will do that. If I could just say one last thing as well.
Yes,
too.
for sure. For sure.
And I would just say at the end of the day, we're all in this journey together. And I just try to stress to my family, to my boys, it's about what you do, right? It's about who you help. It's about using your resources, your talents and your gifts, right? And taking the attention off, because sometimes I think the attention can be misdirected because these guys play in the NFL and people look at the lavishness and that type of thing there. But at the very end of the day, and I tell the boys, when you're laying your head down at night, are you able to be okay with yourself by what you did today, who you helped? Right. Did you smile at somebody, right? Did you take it upon yourself to do whatever, right? So that's one of the big things that I just like to pass along in the hopes of just so that they pass along to those that they know and their families along the way there. And I thank you guys so much. It is the Levi Wallace Foundation, leviwallace.org. Again, it's just been less than a year, I want to say, and we are doing some amazing things right now. We just had our Thanksgiving giveaway. We've got a big toy drive coming up, and we have a fantastic football camp. And but a lot of it is geared towards scholarships and then helping the community. Give back, give back, give back. So
absolutely,
thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. You are so very welcome. Please, let's make sure that we stay in touch. I would love for our guys and their foundations to collaborate. We do amazing things too. And you're absolutely right. As blessed as we are and as thankful as we are for this platform, this temporary platform that they have, it's about the men that they are, the way they make people feel. And I'm so humbled as well, Wendy, because my boy, and he gives his mom a lot of credit, but he does amazing things throughout our community, throughout communities. And you hit it on the head. It's absolutely liberating to have, and praise, all praises go to God, to have someone like your kid and like my kid that continues to spread the wealth. I so appreciate you. So appreciate you. Thank you, Wendy, for being here. This was so good.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
There she goes, Wendy's words of wisdom. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.